Welcome to Tourism Saskatchewan's webinar series. My name is Denise Hauda, and I'm the Director of Workforce Development here. Just want to tell you a little bit about the webinar series that we have planned. It is about providing our tourism operators and partners in support, acknowledging the work that they're doing and helping them to build and grow and in fact strengthen the province's tourism sector. So I do want to start by acknowledging that some of you, and I mean many of us, I guess, across the province are joining from different parts. Today, it could be from Treaty 4, Treaty 5, Treaty 6, Treaty 8, and Treaty 10 territory, the traditional gathering place of Indigenous peoples and the home of the Métis. We do want to reaffirm our relationship with the Indigenous people of this territory and acknowledge that this is an important part of our history and an important part of our future. So I do have a few housekeeping notes to just mention before I bring on our presenter for today. At the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a few different icons. One of them is a chat icon, one to raise your hand, and one that will say Q&A. So for today's session, again, we're going to use the Q&A button. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please post them in there. I'll be monitoring those throughout the presentation. And then at the end, we'll hopefully have a few minutes that we can answer some of those questions. So I'd like to welcome Brelyn Klotz from Service Hospitality. She has come on board last minute. The original presenter for this afternoon's session unfortunately became ill, so Breylyn has offered to step in and do the presentation for us this afternoon. So thank you for that, Breylyn. She is a passionate safety professional with an excellent understanding of occupational health and safety and psychological health and safety. As a safety advisor, she works closely with employers in the service, hospitality, and community services sectors, helping them build and to maintain their safety management systems, providing risk-based training, conducting audits, and assisting with claims management. Breylyn champions safety not only in her professional life, but also in her personal life. So please join me in welcoming Breylyn.
All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that lovely introduction there. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay and see my presentation as well. As Denise had stated, my name is Brelyn Klotz, and I am one of the safety advisors here at Service Hospitality. To kick things off this afternoon, I'm going to dive into a little bit about kind of who we are and what we do here at Service Hospitality and how we can benefit your organization and its success with worker safety. So who are we? Service Hospitality is a nonprofit safety association, and we are funded by employers in the hotel, laundry, restaurant, and community service industries. Here at Service Hospitality, we are committed to providing consultation and education services to employers within these industries. This includes things such as on-site evaluations. We do in-person and virtual training. We provide individualized consulting, education materials, and tons of other useful resources related to physical health and safety, as well as psychological health and safety. Service Hospitality does have a membership of over 4,100 employers, representing over 1.6 billion in payroll. We are a small but mighty safety association. We always say at the start of the year that we hit the ground running. And let me tell you, we never really slow down in pace, which is the way that we like it, making a difference for our industry members when it comes to health and safety, and always being kept on our toes. So that is just the way that we like things around here. Alrighty, so I'm just going to talk about a couple of different organizations that possibly you've heard about before and just comparing what their role is compared to ours here at Service Hospitality. So the first one that I want to talk about is the Government of Saskatchewan. So they're going to be that regulator that we talk about. So they ensure organizations are compliant with occupational health and safety regulations and the Saskatchewan Employment Act. The Government of Saskatchewan has the authority to fine and contravene for non-compliance. So just like that, ticketing police officer won't necessarily be the one teaching you how to properly stop at a stop sign, OH&S officers typically do not offer resources or education to employers as well. The second one that I'd like to kind of touch on here this afternoon is going to be WCB, or the Workers' Compensation Board, which we consider one of those insurers. So this is an insurer of workplace injury and illnesses. They provide benefits and programs to injured workers and protect registered employers from lawsuits when a workplace injury does occur. So, what is our role at Service Hospitality? We are kind of that educator kind of component. So, we are committed to providing education, training, consulting, and research with that grand goal of really promoting workplace health and safety, and ultimately reducing injuries for our industry members. So, what does this mean as we are a nonprofit safety association? So, we do have a funding agreement through WCB, or the Workers' Compensation Board. So, we are funded through employer premiums within our rate codes. So, our rate codes are the S21, S22, and S23 rate codes, which I will talk about here in a short second. But we do operate entirely independently from WCB. And I want to make sure that that is clear to everybody here joining us today. And this is why most of our services are at either no cost or very little cost to you, our members. So definitely something to keep in mind if you are ever wanting to kind of use our services. There will be very, very little cost, if no cost to you. So very exciting stuff. Alrighty, I am going to move forward here and talk about those S22 and S23 rate codes. So the first one here is the S22 rate code. So majority of the folks who are joining us here today will fall in that S22 and S23 rate code. S22 is kind of generalized as, the restaurant rate codes per se. And it can include businesses such as restaurants, cafes. We're seeing licensed lounges, catering, camp catering, and food trucks would be included on there as well. We then kind of jump forward into that S23 rate code. And this is generalized again as kind of the hotel's rate code. And it encompasses hotel management, motels. We're looking at bed and breakfasts, commercial laundries, camps, lodges, resorts, and outfitters as well. And taxis, rideshare, and limo services are also going to fall into this S23 rate code. So as I mentioned, the audience here today, you most likely fall into one of these rate codes for the S22 or the S23. So just a little bit of background information in case maybe you're not familiar with what rate code you may fall into or what they actually entail. So to get into some more, I guess, in-depth conversation and topics here, we're going to jump right into some data. What would a presentation be without some numbers and some statistics for us to look at? So first off here, I want to take a look at the S22 and S23 time loss and total injuries by year. So we are seeing this chart here on the screen. On the left-hand side, it's going to have injuries. At the bottom, we're seeing the years 2019 to 2022. The light purple on the screen is going to be total injuries within that year, and the dark purple is going to be those time loss injuries. So when we talk about time loss injuries, these are going to be those claims that continue past the initial day of injury. So as we can kind of see from the data here on the screen, injuries kind of have dipped since 2019. So if we look at 2019, we're sitting at about 1,500 total injuries. And then we jump all the way forward to 2022, and we're seeing there's about 1,000 total injuries. This was largely due to the pandemic and some other related factors. However, one of those factors was actually an increased attention to health and safety within these rate codes. So approximately, I believe it's at 1/3 of all injuries in this rate code every year are going to be those time loss claims. This means that that worker who was injured remains off work longer than just that day of injury. And one of the ways that Service Hospitality can help you is with your claims management process, including getting those injured workers back to work, even if it may be in that accommodated role, as quickly and as safely as possible. It's also important to know what's, driving these injuries that we're seeing. So in 2022, the most common cause of injuries in the S22 and S23 rate codes were cuts from knife injuries, However, the most expensive injuries were actually related to falls within the workplace. So if you are ever interested in your own organization's statistics, please reach out to myself or the other individuals' contact information who I share following today's presentation, and we will be able to get that to you on an individual basis. Essentially, when we are looking at this, how do workplace injuries affect you and why should these things matter? Essentially, it's costs. It's cost to the human and cost to the overall budget within our organizations. So moving forward from those total injuries here, I want to jump into the S23 industry costs and premium rates. So now that we've kind of seen that trend for injuries, I want to take a look at the cost to the injury over that same time period from 2019 to 2022. These costs are coming directly from the Saskatchewan Workers' Compensation Board. So they would be covering wage loss and medical costs, but not those other indirect costs that we may be seeing. Examples of this could include overtime or replacement workers to cover that injured worker's absence. It could also be retaining or potentially administrative work that is needed for an injury as well. So filling out incident reports, those W1s, E1s, investigations, all of those kind of outside administrative tasks would fall into those indirect costs, which aren't going to be captured on that screen here today. One thing that I really want to point out is that S23 rate code is actually an anomaly to what we're kind of seeing across industries in Saskatchewan. And that is that most industries are actually seeing an increase in their claim costs. And, when reviewing the data, I thought it may be due to, a decrease in industry payroll or an increase in workers. However, this really isn't the case either. Payroll within this industry has gone up 12% since 2021 to 2022. So either way we kind of spin it or look at this data, something is going well within our industries. So definitely kudos to everyone here, giving yourself possibly a pat on the back for that one, but just some interesting numbers for us to kind of look at for an industry as a whole. When we kind of move forward into those premium rates. So as an employer, your WCB premium rates are set first at an industry level and then modified based on your organization's individual experience. So as we can kind of see here on the slide, WCB has classified all organizations into an industry category or classification as we have here on the screen. And this is based on the primary business activity of the organization. From there, we dive into those industry premium rates. So each of those industries will have a premium rate, as we like to say, that's going to be set for the industry. And this is going to be based on two factors. So it's going to be based on total payroll within that entire industry and total projected costs for claims within that year. And WCB has some fancy little calculations that they like to use for that as well. So when we talk about that total payroll for the industry and the total projected cost for claims within that year, if we look at the S22 rate code, they pay 88 cents per $100 in payroll to their premiums. And in the S23 rate code, they're paying $1.61 per $100 of payroll for their premiums. And those 2023 premium rates are based on the previous 3 years, skipping that most recent year. The last one here is going to be that experience rating. So once those industry premium rates are set, each individual employer is then analyzed and the experienced rating program is going to be applied to your organization. This experience rating program is really how the Saskatchewan Workers' Compensation Board determines what each organization pays for their WCB premiums in any given year. So this will be based on a couple of things. It'll be based on your injury history, so the number of claims that your organization has, or the total cost of those claims. Again, this is going to be a history that we're looking at, and your organization may be assigned a penalty or a discount on those base premiums. So for those of us who maybe look at our WCB data on a regular basis, we would be seeing either that surcharge position or that discount position. And once we get into that surcharge position, it can be very, very difficult to get out of, and it can take a lot of time as well. So always doing what we can to kind of reduce those injuries and our costs within our own workplaces in our rate codes. So we look at this here, essentially, this is just outlining exactly what I talked about. Lower injuries is going to, have lower associated costs for the organization. This will then lead to lower employer premiums, which essentially will lead to lower industry premiums for everybody who is involved. And what are the ways that we can do this, or we can achieve this as an organization or as industry members? We can stop workers from getting hurt. And end of the day, that is the ultimate goal that we are looking for. So how can we at Service Hospitality help you with this? How can we help you stop your workers from getting hurt at work? How can we help you lower those injuries, lower those costs that are in place due to your claims that you are experiencing? Well, we do have a couple of resources for you. And we're going to pop those up here on the screen. So I did briefly mention this kind of in my intro of who we are and what we do. I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail for everyone so you can have a little bit of background information on the services that we provide. So the first one here is going to be claims management. So we can assist you in managing those tricky claims, or even those ones that have maybe just gone on for a little bit too long and we're unsure kind of how to move forward from those specific claims. And even a minor injury can turn costly if those workers remain off work for too long. Okay. And as we know, in some cases, in some serious injuries, some time away from work may be needed, right? But in most cases, getting the worker back to work the next day can be done as long as we have that modified work program or accommodation process in place before the injury actually occurs. So we can help you. We can provide coaching on managing those physical as well as psychological injury claims within your workplace. We have a fantastic claims management kind of training session. So feel free to reach out anytime if you're sounding like this may be something that you're wanting assistance with your organization. Another resource that we provide at Service Hospitality is going to be our safety evaluations. And this includes both physical and psychological health and safety, similar to everything else that we provide here. And it is going to be divided into 3 components. So when we conduct a safety evaluation, it's kind of separated into 3 portions of a documentation review. So we review all of those safety policies, procedures, best practices, safe work practices. We then do an observation tour of your organization or your workplace. We just kind of walk through, see how things are functioning, if people are, practicing the safe work procedures that are in place and they're following the measures to keep them safe. And then we have a survey component for our safety evaluations as well. So we send out a survey to supervisors and managers as well as those frontline workers. And essentially, this safety evaluation is really us getting a baseline measure of where your safety management system currently stands. We help kind of identify those gaps that you may have within your overall health and safety programming, providing you with recommendations, training, you name it. We kind of do all the work for you, set everything up, get you ready for success, and help guide you through that process of how to have that fully functioning safety management system. So this is a really great tool, a resource that we provide if maybe you don't have anything currently started for health and safety, or if you have all of these great things in place but you're having a hard time identifying where those gaps are, we can come in and we can identify those for you. The next one here is going to be training. So we provide risk-based training for you and your staff. This training is offered both in person and virtually. So we do have our free webinar series that's always posted on our website. So feel free to check in on there frequently throughout the year to see kind of some upcoming sessions that we do hold. A few examples would be Occupational Health and Safety Committee training. We have health and safety leadership training for managers and supervisors and what their legal legal roles and responsibilities are. We have a fantastic course, Psychological Health and Safety for Hospitality. We have 2 levels, one for supervisors and managers and one for frontline workers as well. So really, really great training that we offer, lots of different topics and some really great facilitators. I would be one of those ones who would be facilitating. So definitely something to check out and see if there's anything that we can do for your organization. Of course, when it comes to our resources as a safety association, we have tons of templates, videos, webinars, various guides, and these templates that we provide for policies, procedures, tracking our emergency response drills and things like that are all going to be workable documents. Okay, so we just kind of go in, we can alter it to have our organization's information be specific to us and then implement those into the workplace. Another great example would be, maybe you have your health and safety policy in place. It's covering all of the legal requirements, but it doesn't include psychological health and safety. We have a template for that. Go onto our website, check out the templates and resources kind of tab and see if there's anything that you can pull out of there to help improve your policies, procedures, or things that you have within your own organization. We also provide individualized consulting. So our safety advisors are here for you. A few examples I can give you here would be professional development days. So maybe you're looking for a guest speaker on a specific risk for your organization. Give us a call. We can potentially come in and whip something together and come talk to your group on those professional development days. We can assist with specific risk-based hazards coming from those incident investigations maybe that we're going through. We can help with policy review and rewriting. We can help with your occupational health and safety committee and coaching them, providing recommendations or suggestions on how we can get those meetings moving a little bit faster, or potentially some proactive activities that we can bring into the workplace as well. And really the list goes on. Lots of different things that we can do here as safety advisors at Service Hospitality. And the drum roll here. So our last one here is going to be our HSLC program, or Health and Safety Leadership Certificate Program, Hospitality Stream. So this is truly the complete package when we're talking about health and safety and building that fully functioning safety management system. Participating in this program to achieve this certification can help your organization reduce injuries, reduce premiums, and ultimately it can help save lives within your organization. Okay, so there are going to be 4 levels that are covered within our HSLC program for the hospitality stream. And requirements for each of these levels build on the foundation of the previous levels. As you progress through the development of the program, you will achieve increased recognition and improved health and safety processes. So again, this is the national standard for health and safety. There's 4 levels within our HSLC program. And you would kind of be, I guess, assigned, or one of the advisors at Service Hospitality would be dedicated to your organization and working through this process with you. And we are there as a guide, as a facilitator. We're not just going to leave you hanging, right? We're checking in, we're having those conversations, we're providing training, resource, templates, all of those things to help you get to that fully functioning safety management system, and not only meeting legislative requirements, but also implementing those best practices and including psychological health and safety in the way that you do business. And one of the really, really great things about our HSLC program is that it's, done at your own pace. We recognize as safety advisors that a lot of the folks in our industries, don't have a dedicated safety position, right, for their hotel or their restaurant or whatever it is you may work. So we understand that sometimes these things are put to the corner of the desk, and maybe it'll take you 3 years to get through this program. Or maybe we're super gung-ho and we want to get to HSLC level 4 within a year. Right? We see different kind of timelines for different employers and what resources and time we have available as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there to keep it in the back of your minds. If you are interested, please reach out. I would be happy to give you more information on what this HSLC program entails. All right. So by now, I think majority of us here in our virtual room who are attending the presentation here today, that, a psychologically healthy workplace makes a successful workplace. Psychological health and safety has been on the forefront for a few years now. It is really a hot topic. People and organizations, they're interested, they're intrigued. They want to make sure that they have a psychologically healthy and safe workplace. And this is amazing. And how can we help? So, when we look at benefits of having a psychologically safe and healthy workplace, this is going to, increase engagement, morale, satisfaction for your staff. It can also help with retention and recruitment and overall productivity for your workplace as well. So, those are some of the benefits of having a psychologically healthy and safe workplace. But what can be reduced if we do have that psychologically safe workplace? We could reduce those absenteeism rates that maybe we're seeing, grievances that are possibly occurring in our workplaces. Maybe we would be reducing our health costs or medical leave or disability leave that we are seeing. And in turn, overall, this is going to reduce workplace injuries as well. And one thing I kind of want to state here, psychological health and safety, it is on that forefront, and it is something that we're excited about, we're talking about. And, employers are like, how can we have a psychologically healthy and safe workplace? Previous to the past, 4 years or so, I would say that psychological health and safety and physical health and safety were almost seen as two separate entities, but they're not. Psychological health and safety and physical health and safety go hand in hand, and you can't have one without the other. We need to have both of these things incorporated into our workplace to ensure that we have an overall healthy and safe work environment for our staff. Um, Again, very, very important. Lots of resources that we have. Personally, myself here at Service Hospitality, I am a certified psychological health and safety advisor through CMHA Saskatchewan. So I am uniquely qualified to help employers kind of integrate that CSA standard or those 13 psychosocial factors into their workplace. And a few of the other advisors are also certified in that as well. So again, reach out at any time and we are here to assist you in that psychologically healthy and safe workplace and integrating it into your current systems that you have. So how can we help? A couple topics I wanted to bring kind of above for psychological health and safety. The first one being our mental health best practice group. So our mental health best practice group was started back in 2017 as a response to some changes in how WCB was accepting psychological injury claims. At that time, there wasn't really many resources out there, especially locally here to Saskatchewan, for psychological health and safety. So Service Hospitality at that time in 2017, we saw the gap and we wanted to, create a group and start working together on kind of eliminating that gap when it comes to psychological health and safety. So what we started doing in 2017 is we started bringing in, resources and speakers from other jurisdictions to kind of bring in information and learning to Saskatchewan. Since 2017, the mental health best practice group has continued to meet 2 to 4 times per year, bringing in experts, sharing with other members, and the group provides input to assist with deciding, what else we should be offering, right? The group itself steers the content. We can provide the training, the resources, etc., kind of based on the needs of the groups. We're really listening to the members of our mental health best practice group and seeing, what they want, what they need. What things are they hearing from other people within their industry that we should be focusing on and providing those resources and speakers coming in. If you are a member of the mental health best practice group, you can connect with the other group members. We can learn from each other and of course get access to the resources, training opportunities, and attend any of the events that we do hold. So there is going to be more information on the mental health best practice group on our website. You can also send me an email afterwards if this is something that you are interested in becoming a member of. As we see on the screen here, it is free to join, meeting 2 to 3 times per year. We usually switch these locations back and forth between Regina and Saskatoon. I would like to mention if anyone's like, this is very intriguing, Breylyn, I would maybe like to join, reach out to me. We do have 2 upcoming events booked for 2023. I believe the first one is in May in Saskatoon, and the second one for the year is in October in Regina. Exact details and dates TBA. So please reach out if you are wanting any more information on that. The second one here is going to be our safety management system evaluation, or that safety evaluation that we chatted about a little bit earlier there within our resources. So this audit is based on various standards. Obviously, this is going to include the Saskatchewan Employment Act and the OHS regulations, but it also includes the National Standard of Canada for Psychological Health and Safety in the Workplace, otherwise known as that CSA Standard. And it also includes the ISO 4500 Occupational Health and Safety Management, Psychological Health and Safety at Work. Whew, that was a mouthful there. And this again is that baseline assessment, followed by an action plan with recommendations for improvements when it comes to psychological health and safety. And this is approved by the Canadian Mental Health Association as well. Alrighty, as I mentioned, we are busy. We are a small group, but we are mighty. So we also, help workplaces build a safe, positive safety culture. And really, there's no better place to start than with our youth and with our young workers. And that is where our youth programming comes into play. Within our kind of industry, 70% of young people get their first jobs within the hospitality industry. So we have a number of ways that we engage with youth in Saskatchewan so that we can be a part of kind of, nurturing a mindset of safety from that young age, even before they step into a workplace. And some of the ways that we do this is through our classroom presentations. So we provide safety presentations as young as grade 3. So that would be kind of community safety, environment safety, all the way up to grade 8, where we have our mental health presentation that we provide. If you think about grade 3, I don't really remember being in grade 3, but I don't remember talking about safety. Right. So at Service Hospitality, we really are trying to, be a part of that nurturing mindset for safety from that very, very young age. So we are very, very proud of, what we can provide to those within those classroom presentations. We also attend, high school Try a Career events. So Try a Career is a trade show that's going to be held in Balgony on a yearly basis. It's usually 4 days. High school students kind of come in. There's lots of different employers and booths and things for them to check out. So Service Hospitality attends these events as well, providing information on becoming a safety advisor, what health and safety means, why it's important to you as a young or inexperienced worker kind of going into the workforce as well. Service Hospitality also offers safety in schools. So we partnered with Safety in Schools a few years ago, and this is online safety training for high school students. Again, a really, really great resource and opportunity that we have here at Service Hospitality, and just providing, specific health and safety knowledge and training to high school students, either before they get into work or even if they already do have a job, just giving them that information that they need to stay healthy and safe. We also have some Sask Polytechnic partnerships. And the last one here is Youth Safety Education Day. So this is actually our annual flagship event, which takes place on and around September 10th every single year. So on the screen here, here's just a few pictures of previous Youth Safety Education Days events. So events in high schools were held in the province until 2019. Obviously, this shifted to kind of virtual events in 2020 due to the pandemic. But Service Hospitality is excited to announce, super, super pumped, that we are going to be back in person this year for Youth Safety Education Day, our flagship event. Last year, we reached over 75,000 youth with a message of the importance of workplace safety. 75,000. That is a huge number. I've only been with the organization for just over 2 years. So I actually haven't experienced a Youth Safety Education Day in person. And let me tell you, I am very, very excited. Virtual, it was fantastic. And I have heard the energy in person is just above and beyond. So I am super, super thrilled for that. There is definitely opportunities to become a partner or a sponsor for Youth Safety Education Day every year as well. So we can get involved in Youth Safety Education Day events, which this year will be held from September 10th to 15th. So we have kind of partnership forms that we can send out and be filled out from your organization. We deliver free Youth Safety Education Day packages that'll be filled with safety activities, posters, and fun promotional items from Service Hospitality and participating sponsors as well for you to incorporate into your organization, right? And we have a wide variety of things and resources and activities that we are sending out. So if you are interested in becoming a partner for 2023 Youth Safety Education Day or sponsoring this event, again, reach out to me afterwards and I can definitely provide you some additional information. Again, as this is this is the largest event that we hold here at Service Hospitality. Once it basically ends in September, we start planning for the following year. So we've kind of been in the works for this for months already, and we're very, very excited. So I hope that we can potentially see some new partners or partners who are here today who have been with us in the past joining us for 2023 as well. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. So we do have the general inquiries at the info account here listed on the screen. Laura Bentz, who is the Senior Safety Advisor, she is located out in Saskatoon area. Her contact information is on the screen. And then below her there is myself, Breylyn. I am the Safety Advisor located here in Regina. Feel free to shoot me an email with any questions that you may have from today, inquiries, or even give me a phone call. That would be lovely as well. And thank you so much for your time today. If anyone has any questions, I would love to answer those for you.
Thank you so much, Breylyn. And while I'm just chatting here, please, if you do have questions, post them in the Q&A section and we will have Breylyn help us out to kind of move us in that direction. I just wonder if you could share a little bit more about what a workplace looks like that is psychologically safe. And if there's ways in which to describe it. It sounds like you know quite a bit about the topic, but I know it's sometimes a new conversation for people to kind of wrap their head around. What does that mean? And what does it actually look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Denise. That's a great question. Really, it's going to look different for every single workplace. And there isn't necessarily, I guess, a general image that I could really paint in everyone's minds here today. If we are kind of in those starting stages of integrating psychological health and safety into the workplace, really it just starts with awareness, breaking kind of the stigma, being able to have those open conversations with our supervisors, our managers, and our frontline workers. It could be as simple as even providing information or reminding folks that, we have EAP programs or EFAP programs in place that are here for you if you are maybe struggling with your mental health or things like that. It's kind of based on having strong leadership in the organization as well, being able to have those difficult conversations, hearing our frontline workers or our staff members when they're saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overworked, I have too much things kind of going on, and being able to have those, transparent and open conversations with individuals. And of course, on the health and safety side, when we're looking at the physical and the psychological, including it in our internal processes, policies, and procedures. So, have we made it a condition of employment to not only report physical near misses, but psychological near misses as well. When we're maybe out doing our workplace inspections, are we including some psychological components in there as well to see, are we checking in on our staff? Are they doing okay? And do we have these processes in place? And ultimately, are they working the way that we intended them to?
Excellent. Thank you for that. One question here is related to, whether or not an employer should be building in safety in the onboarding process of staff. I think a lot of people are feeling this, that, recruitment has been a huge undertaking in the industry lately. Is this something they should build into that onboarding, or, refer to the policies where to find them? Like, just a little bit of help in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Denise, we are seeing that obviously with our industry members, especially in hospitality. After the pandemic and still kind of in the pandemic, retention, it's difficult. We're seeing the challenges across the kind of board here. As far as having health and safety included in that onboarding process, yes, absolutely. We want to include health and safety at those beginning stages when we have those new hires coming in. This shows them that you care about their health and safety. This is important to you as an organization. And ultimately, it's going to make them feel valued and safe in that position, and hopefully keeping them around for a little bit longer of time. This would be one of those areas that, as we maybe go through a safety evaluation or doing individualized consulting or having conversations with these employers, we can give you some tips and tricks or talking points or ideas that you can add into your orientation and onboarding process within your locations.
And you raised a good point there, those safety evaluations and how you can support businesses in that. If there's a bit of reluctancy to call on service hospitality for one of those, maybe if you could give some advice around what that might look like in terms of, if you were wanting an assessment done, how do you contact you, and then what happens next?
Yeah, absolutely. So how I guess that process would work if you are interested in doing a safety evaluation with service hospitality. So reach out to myself. One of the safety advisors would set up a meeting and we would discuss kind of time frame on when we'd want to be getting these things done. Ideally, from I guess that initial conversation and saying, yes, we're gung ho, we want to move forward with the safety evaluation and find, those gaps and things that we're doing well and as well in our evaluation. Usually it would be about 30 days, and we would send out a survey to the staff for supervisors and managers and those frontline workers. It would be based on the individual employer, how long of a time they would want to give everyone to respond back to that. Usually it's around 1 to 2 weeks. And then the employer who we'd come out to do that evaluation for would have to kind of get ready the documentation, policies, and procedures. So we would provide a list of what we're looking for. They compile those documents, and then we would come in and do a full day for the safety evaluation of documentation review and the observation tour. From all of that data that I would collect, I then create an action plan and present that to the employer from there. So on, I guess, an average basis, this would be looking about a month and a half kind of time frame before you got that action plan, and we could start looking at recommendations, best practices, and how to start moving forward as an organization.
Yeah, it's good to hear how you would come about breaking that down. Have you had any success stories or good news stories that have come from those types of evaluations?
Absolutely, 100%. Lots of success stories. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but really, we get positive feedback for any employer that we've come in and provided these safety evaluations for. Again, our industry members, they don't have a dedicated safety person. And most of the time, it is the GMs, it is the HR person kind of trying to manage, running the business, plus also doing health and safety. And having us come in and really just lay it out, show you the things that you need to kind of work on to improve your safety management system. We have the templates. We have the resources, we have the training, I provide the training. Really, we're just setting you up for success. So I've heard, nothing but good things from employers that we have done this for. And without naming any organizations that I work with, I have seen massive, massive improvements in the way that their entire organization runs once that health and safety starts kind of hitting the road and starts running upwards.
Great point. And I think we all appreciate that. And if you can think of it anyway, it's extra help, extra helping hands to help you in that. Because you're right, there's a lot of people trying to manage multiple responsibilities under their portfolio. So glad
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah, and just to touch on that too, I know I mentioned it probably 3 times on like a broken record sometimes. But that's one of the really, really great things about service hospitality and us coming in to kind of assist you through this process with health and safety is we don't just leave you in the dust. We walk through you, we guide you through this entire process. We're here to answer questions. We're here to, bounce ideas off of. We don't just kind of, give you this action plan and say, here you go, good luck, contact you in a few years. We are there kind of step by step and just really coaching you and guiding you. So at the end of, going through these processes, you are going to have the information and knowledge to run this program continuously without us. But as we kind of build it up, we are there to help guide and facilitate you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And I do see that somebody from your crew has posted some contact information as well in the chat. And if anyone does need some assistance, you can certainly search up Service Hospitality. Thank you again, Breylyn, for the presentation and coming on board last minute. Really appreciate it again this afternoon. Again, Tourism Saskatchewan is certainly proud to have hosted and worked with Service Hospitality to bring you this webinar this afternoon. Should you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Tourism Saskatchewan and the Workforce Development team. I'm going to throw the email that you can reach us at in the chat box as well. So thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you again next time. Thank you.